morning, I'm Heidi with Under the Baobab Soap Making, and this morning I'm going to show you how to make Cherry Surprise Soap with Brambleberry's Surplus Cherry Almond fragrance. It's a very strong fragrance and you don't need to use as much of the fragrance oil as usual. Another thing I'm going to show you is how I use my soap calculator on my phone. With this soap in particular, I was trying to use up some of my leftover oils and butters, and sometimes you don't know how much of one you should use to substitute for another ingredient. I have one recipe I usually use for all my soaps, but sometimes I don't have all the ingredients I need. Like this time I didn't have much shea butter. So I'm going to show you how I use my soap calculator to figure out what to do with all those different oils you might have in your house. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I mixed up my oils yesterday. I had a little bit of shea butter and a little bit of cocoa butter. So I measured those on my scale to see how many I had, and I plugged them into my soap calculator. So you go to your page here where it shows all the oils and butters you could possibly use. And I also had a bottle of olive oil that I wanted to use up. So I measured that out to see how much that was and plugged that in. And after you plug in all your oils and butters, you hit result to see what the results look like. And it'll tell you how if it's going to be a hard soap, if it's going to be a cleansing soap, a conditioning soap, a bubbly soap, and a creamy soap. And it has a scale, and it'll fall within a certain category in that scale. And you'll see if your soap is one that's going to be effective. So that's a really good tool to use. The problem I ran into was that I had recently bought this big jug of oil. In our town we get palm oil that's imported, and I had bought this recently, and as I was using it I was calculating it for palm oil because that's what was usually available. But when I started reading the ingredients, it is actually 100% soybean oil. So I was able to go back to my calculator, take out the palm oil, add in the soybean oil, and see what my results were. Luckily, my results were still good. And then I was able to see what my total amount of oils were going to be and if they would fit in my mold. We're going to go ahead and make it now. With this soap also I have embeds that I'm going to put in. This is the surprise within the Cherry Surprise soap. So I'll show you a little close-up of how we do that. So thanks for joining me today, and looking forward to bringing you along this process. This recipe, I usually use about 1 or 1.5 ounces of this fragrance oil. Use 1.5 there. That should do the trick. Mounded up the soap on these, placed some of the little embeds right on the top. sprayed it with rubbing alcohol and a little glitter. And we will come back to cut it tomorrow, see how it looks.